Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Demetria Obilor, TV personality, actress, and host of Revolt TV's Black Girl Stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for taking the time to have me. I'm so excited to be here with you, Koku.
Thank you. And, as I was telling you, I was so excited to talk to you because, I've watched your story and I've watched, how you've even handled press in terms of being, you start off you weren't in small markets per se, because Dallas, Las Vegas, Kansas City, but you start off in these markets. Yeah. Then you just end up being this huge, like international, but like off of just the craziest thing, right? Sometimes we just go viral.
I feel like I'm living in my truth, right?
Yeah.
With that
Yes.
habit. Someone body shamed me when I was working in Dallas, Texas. I was doing my anchoring, my traffic reporting. I mean, I did a whole lot there, digital hosting. And a woman saw a picture of me online. She didn't like it, said that I looked like I was a size 16, 18, trying to fit into a size 6'8", which I am. And from there, things took off. And my audience supported me and people I didn't even know. And it became this global thing. And I feel like it was rooted in love, but I mean, it was really hate that was the catalyst. But I feel like it became this huge teaching moment for everybody when it comes to body types.
Yeah. You handled it so well. And then I've loved how you appreciate your body and you make everybody else feel comfortable in their bodies too. You see, and then what you've shown is that, because I've watched you speak on various topics, and I love that you're kind of like I would say like a voice of a generation where we don't have to be stuffy and we're not wearing like high collars and like walking in like our grandmas, like that's not what we wear. So it's like, you're basically like, a lot of times I think that what we all suffer from at work sometimes is that we'll like sort of throw on the work voice or the work attitude, and you go home, take it all off, and it's like, hey girl, what y'all do? You don't do that.
Reporting live from Channel 8 News. Like I never did that. I never did that. And so for me, it was all about challenging what professionalism looks like. And I'm a professional. I am a journalist. I have a journalism degree. So that is at my core. And so when I talk about subjects, it's coming from a place of knowledge. And then, of course, you're going to get my opinion as well. But for me, I'm like, I want to be myself. I never got into this business thinking, okay, how can I conform? Who do I need to look like to be okay? I came into the game in Kansas City wearing my hair naturally curly. And it was really just a nice little fro, like curly fro. And people were telling me, my professor said, Demetria, you're never going to be an anchor if you wear your hair like that. And I don't think they were trying to hurt me or diss me. They were trying to arm me with what the reality of the situation was. But for me, I didn't accept that as my reality. And so I said, screw that. I'm going out there like this, and I'm going to audition with my natural hair as it is. And I got jobs. And that's not the story for everyone, but I just felt like it was my responsibility to be true to myself, because there's so many other Black journalists and women who've come before me, and men too, who challenged the status quo, so that I could even be here today doing what I do and love.
Because even in doing what you're doing and loving and just being that example in that way, I mean, there's even little girls that look up to you and they see themselves. Yes, they see themselves in you. How does it feel just as, as your star continues to shine brighter and brighter, and you're seeing that people are definitely looking at you as a role model? Like, what does that feel like in this moment?
There's a lot of responsibility with that, but I am an adult woman. And I'm talk about all sorts of things. And I think that you see that on Black Girl Stuff show. And that's not necessarily meant for a 5 or 6 year old. But I think that people can see from me is that I embrace myself fully. I'm not here to please other people, and I'm not here to conform and make myself more palatable for the masses. And I feel like that is where, if I'm any sort of role model, that's where that shines. I want people to say that it's okay if I look different. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a conference, NABJ, for example, where young journalists come to me and say, Demetria, so do you think that I can wear my hair like this? Is this okay for me just to be the way that I was born and put this on an audition tape and submit it and think that I could potentially get a job in this industry? And I'm like, we got to do this because people are counting on me. I broke in. Okay. I don't have any family handing me, the reins here. This is all from my hard work. And I'm like, but I have to keep pushing so that young journalists, young children everywhere, anybody in any workplace knows that it's okay just to be themselves. And so I have that responsibility. I feel that. And it's not a pressure because I love being me. And I want people to love being themselves and feel that it's okay. And it is professional. And you can listen to hip hop music and be a professional. And you don't have to tone yourself down. Right? I mean, be professional, right? don't be cussing at work. I mean, those are basic principles there, right? But I feel like you shouldn't have to change essential qualities about yourself to feel like, okay, now I can get a job.
I think that's an excellent message for sure, and that's realistic as well. And I do want to talk about Black girl stuff, but before that, I think what's really interesting is your journey. So I want to talk about, like, how did every experience that you've had in broadcasting, in regards to the weather, and in regards to even going into sports, how have all of these stops informed your approach to journalism, and how have you appreciated those experiences?
Yeah, so I started out doing traffic, and so I've dabbled in a bit of everything. And for me, it was really important to have a vast portfolio, being able to showcase what I can talk about and how I feel comfortable. I mean, I don't want to call myself a jack of all trades. I don't know if there's a female version of that, but I feel like I'm that. I'm a Renaissance woman in that sense. That's the term I'm looking for.
Renaissance woman.
Yeah, I just feel like I've always needed to be able to know about a lot of random things, and knowing about sports and knowing about politics and being able to talk about them in a graceful and entertaining way. It just really depends on the tone of the subject. And that's just been it. And I like to challenge myself with new things. I mean, I just anchored Revolt News Black Weekly, and that's coming out here pretty soon. Revolt Black News Weekly, excuse me. And that episode's coming out, and that was really awesome because I got to be like this political mediator, and I had political conversations with guests on air, but it's another thing to add to my wheelhouse. And I feel like I don't ever want to get comfortable. I feel like I get stagnant. You feel like you're not learning. And I'm a forever student. I love school. I love learning new things. And I love challenging myself. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid to do that in this climate because they're afraid to look stupid. They're afraid of what's going to happen. And for me, I mean, I've put things out there that people didn't agree with. And so I've seen the hate waves just like I've seen the love waves. But I feel like you have to be fearless, especially in this line of work. And once again, being rooted in being yourself and saying, hey, this is me. This is my vulnerability. I'm putting it out there. And it's okay if I stumble, as long as I get back up and keep going.
Well, I like that you said that you're a forever student. I think that when people are impervious to learning or understanding, there's nothing wrong with even saying sometimes like, well, I don't know, or can you clarify, or let me know more. I don't understand why some people are just so guarded and not being vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with not knowing, you know?
I was always that kid in school. I was that kid in school and college even. I'd raise my hand and some people would hate me because they're like, oh, can't you just shut up? We want to
wrap this up.
But I wanted to know so that I could ace my exam. And it's just, I've always felt that way, but it comes with the pressure because other people will look at you and they'll want to silence you. So it starts from a young age of experiencing that uncomfortability from your peers and being able to ride with it, because it's not going to get easier. It's not going to get better. It's going to get more difficult when you step out into this real world situation where your livelihood depends on your success. And how are you going to be successful if you're afraid to ask questions that will get you there?
Yeah, no, that's great. And also people need to start reading more. I think so too.
Oh my gosh. I need to start reading more.
We all do.
I was thinking, man, I'd love to go back and just take a class at a community college, and just because I love the conversation. I love the discourse, the enlightened discourse. It's not just people spewing off on Twitter. They're pretty enlightened people on Twitter at times. But there's some people who are just spewing off garbage. And I feel like we've lost this ability to feel comfortable in challenging other people's opinions because you're afraid that some tweet is going to go viral and you're going to be the dunce for the day. And there are people there who don't have any malicious intent when they're tweeting. They simply don't know. And so we need to get more informed, right?
So I want to talk about Black girl stuff. There's some really, really fun excerpts that you guys have from the show. So of course I wanted to reference that. One of the ones I thought that was really interesting, because I feel like this is one of those questions that you're going to get really extreme answers. You have a point of view that I think is probably less popular in terms of the Twitter atmosphere. And I never really know what's real or fake with Twitter. Some people, I don't, we're talking about like $200 dates every day, like the fantasy.
I see where you're going with it.
But what you said was, I don't accept gifts from men I'm not interested in. And I thought that was interesting, because a lot of people be like, well, if he's going to give it to me, then I'll take whatever it is. And you're like, no,
I don't like using people.
Yeah.
And for me, my time is very, very valuable. And that doesn't mean I haven't made bad choices and invested time into the wrong people. But I just feel like if there's somebody that off the bat I know that I'm not interested in, I'm not going to let you just dote on me and buy me expensive things. I feel like that can lead not only to an unsafe situation for me, it's just about my ethics and my principles. I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. I've been in the position where I've been in a relationship, we broke up, and I still love that person, I thought, and I'm doing everything I can. And they could have said, Demetria, like, don't do this. I really, you know, but they didn't. They just kept accepting everything. And it's really hurtful. And I wouldn't want to inflict that onto someone else. It's just not, it's not worth it. And I feel like we get caught up in some of these fun rap songs and stuff. And I love the music and this city girl lifestyle. And I sing the songs too, but I just feel like get back down to earth a little bit in yourself. And it's like, would you want somebody just running up a bag on you, not caring about anything you are? And I think that's what the music's necessarily advocating. I think people sometimes take it out of context, take it too seriously in art form. And that's like, that's how I want to be. Somebody hurt me, so now I'm going to hurt everybody else. And that's
the get back of
it's
it all.
Ridiculous. That's not, that's not good. It's not good for your soul. And and you reap what you sow.
I definitely agree with you there, and I do believe in a system of karma, and I don't do anything with malicious intent, you know. So I actually was agreeing with your point. I said, that's interesting that she would say that, because I could see some of your co-hosts were looking like, well, maybe.
I think it's a dangerous predicament, like I said earlier too, because I mean, sometimes you lead people on by doing it. They're thinking that they're getting closer to you, and you never know how someone's going to react. And I've had people, when I was very young, try to lure me in monetarily, and I'm like, no. I have to like you first. I do love gifts, but I want to like you first, and it's all better that way. I don't want to just feel like I'm reeling something in, and it's just not good.
But I also feel like there's a pattern in certain people where they start off really big like that and grandiose, and they'll just like try to give you the world, and it's like, you don't even know me. What is this?
I feel like there's this rushed intimacy these
days.
And it's like you're talking to a guy, and then a week later, even he's calling you baby, babe, and now he's planning the future, and he loves you. Some people might call that love bombing.
Yes.
You might do a complete 180 once they get what you want, and you felt so safe and secure. But I mean, it's only been a week. You don't really know this person.
Yeah.
My friends always tell me, you only know their representative. That's the representative.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, we go to work, there's like a 90-day review. You know what I mean? Like,
people feel the pressure. It's a really tough dating scene right now. And I've experienced it myself. And I'm like, wow, I don't really even know you that well. Now I'm baby. Like, what have I done to even deserve that? I'm not calling you that.
But, you know, Demetria, I think in your case, it's probably, makes it very interesting. I think when you're a public figure and you want to date, people have already bought into their idea of you, and they think they know you. So it's like this sort of relationship is probably in this person's head for maybe months or years on end.
Well, that's a scary thing, because I'm a survivor of stalking 3 times over that I know of, and those were really, really horrific situations that was really traumatizing for me. But I just think if it was the average person, sometimes, I mean, guys will think that I have this certain high standard. And they're assuming. I can't tell many people like, oh, she only date this kind of guy if he's not a millionaire, billionaire, and she's not looking for him. And I'm like, you've already canceled yourself out. But then I have to ask myself, I mean, are you really my type then? If you're already going to doubt yourself. For me, confidence is a lovely thing, and insecurity is not going to get you very far with me. Not because I'm going to make you feel insecure. I'll do everything to make you feel secure. But if the numbers on my social media affect you and you feel like I'm cheating on you just solely off of the numbers and the DMs I get, then we can't relate.
I've heard guys directly, like in my life, say that even women that they liked or that they were connecting with, they stopped talking to them because of the amount of likes and engagements. And I'm just like, what kind of world are we living in that this is actually a conversation that you're having with anyone?
It can be really fragile, and I understand that, but I just feel like I've never given anyone that I was seriously interested in any reason to feel like I'm with someone else or I'm cheating on you. I'm a very big-hearted person. I am a super like Disney fanatic romantic. I have those kinds of, I just get caught up in a hot air balloon. I'm like, oh, everything's beautiful. So for me, I'm happy. But on the other end, you're afraid that something could be developing. I've had previous relationships where my exes thought, oh, maybe she's talking to somebody else, or they see one of their friends like my picture and it becomes this huge deal. And I'm just like, I can't fix that. I can't fix you.
Right. It's not on you to even, I mean, like, what can you do in
I
that
can
case?
just say that I love you and I'm here and I give you all of my time. I answer the phone when you call me. That's all that I
Right.
can do. And if that's not good enough, then there's something inside yourself that you need to resolve. And I had to learn the hard way. You really can't save anybody. They have to save themselves. I wasted time, lots of time trying to show someone like, no, I really love you. But it was never good enough because there's something in them that's not developed and there's a void and I can't fix you. I'm a complete person. You have to be a complete person.
That's a powerful message. I'm going to ask you one last question from Black Girl Stuff. This is going to be this is going to be one of the ones that, again, people are going to be really curious to hear you build on this some more. But getting flued out.
Oh yeah.
So this concept of getting flued out, of course, started by the City Girls. And, you made a really important point. Again, I agree with you on your point. That's why I was so glad to talk to you. But I want you to talk about like your concept of getting flued out and what you think people's expectations should or shouldn't be.
I don't think that anybody, I don't think that because you've agreed to fly someone out that they automatically have to give you sex.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to have this conversation, because people might have these ideas in their mind of what things are going to be, certain expectations that they haven't expressed. And then that's where the conflict arises. So for me, if I'm interested in a guy, we've been communicating and maybe we don't live in the same state. I mean, I'll have that conversation. I'm like, hey, by the way, I mean, if you want me to come, I'm just telling you, I'm not really guaranteeing anything. That's for me, this is just another opportunity for us to get to know each other. We're adults. If adult things happen, like I said, then adult things happen, but I'm not guaranteeing that. And I don't want you to think that because you've purchased this ticket that I'm giving you that. And I make it very clear. And I have to understand, even if there was a woman had maybe experienced, like she said, I was going to go out and sleep with you, and she changes her mind, You can't make anybody do that. You're taking that risk and buying someone a ticket. And I think a lot of men got really flustered about the situation because they feel like women are always taking advantage of them. And I'm like, but that's not every woman. I'm not going to go see a guy, and this isn't something I do all the time. I'm getting flued out every weekend. That's not my life. So if I'm doing it, it's somebody that I'm taking seriously, and we have an understanding, and you know who I am. I know who you are, and I'm willing to put myself in your care, but I always have the money to get back. Now, that's one thing I'm always concerned about.
And I was going to say this too, and I'm trying to be delicate in my phrasing, but I also think that like sometimes we're talking about things that are not scenarios that are necessarily realistic to whatever our lives are about. So this idea of flying people out, whatever that plane ticket is, if it's something that's going to like financially be a problem for that person, why would you do that anyway, right? But there are people that have the means or maybe even the points that they could fly the person out, and it's not something that's going to be a setback for them. So then that's something where they're going to have the conversation and not necessarily feel used because it's not like something's being taken away from them in that sense.
Yeah, you should never, my dad always told me, I mean, you never give money expecting to get it back. So if you're giving more than you can afford, I mean, it's just not something you should do. And the same applies in this situation.
Yes.
And this isn't, if a lot of people who are higher earners, I don't even think this is even a thing, but the reality is there are a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck or very frugal with their money, and they take it very seriously. But I feel like that's part of the relationship thing. I mean, you take a risk, and there's nothing wrong if a woman doesn't want to have sex with you, and then you find out it wasn't working after all.
Right.
I mean, oftentimes you'll find that you really don't even have to ask or press women for that. If she really likes you, I mean, she's gonna give you some hints, buddy. And
I think so.
People are so pressed, and it's like, I feel like I said, there's this rushed intimacy. So you're feeling like you know somebody after a week, you're going to fly this girl out. When in fact, you don't necessarily know if she's digging you on that level to now have sex with you. I mean, you really don't know. And women need to be more careful with leading people on, because if those are the innuendos you're getting from a man, why do you want to go put yourself in that situation? If he's truly tells you that's what he's expecting, why would you even take just to say you got flued out? That's ridiculous. So conversation beforehand, and everybody knows what's up.
Yeah, I think we often ignore a lot of red flags, and people just get so caught up in the idea like, oh, he's taking me to Tulum, like.
Well, I've had people who tried to, I mean, they told me, I don't care about any of that. That's fine. But then you still try it. And then I'm like, well, I told you that's not really a thing. And so, and they press you. And so you have to stand on your strength as a woman and say, well, I told you no. And that's just the way that it is. And I can leave right now. I'll go home right now. And that's the position I always like to be in. I'm never going to put myself in a position where I need to monetarily rely on some other person to get home.
Right.
Like I think right now, it doesn't make a difference. So if you make me feel uncomfortable for 1 second, that's happened. And I did that before with one person. I'm like, bye.
Right. No, that's great. I think that's
for that.
Because we're not hopping on Twitter trying to crowdfund because we couldn't get back home because we made a really bad decision.
I'm sorry, that's embarrassing. It's ridiculous. You should never put yourself in that position. There's nowhere that I go knowing, and I'm unsure about how I'm getting back.
Right.
I know that I'll have the funds to get back.
Or that's simply a safety measure. We're not even judging people. We're just saying be safe. Yeah.
I mean, but you were adults here, and I'm assuming these are adults who are flying out. I mean, these can be children. So the thing is that you should be able to get back home, and that's on you. That's on you. And so there needs to be that responsibility. But I just think people need to understand that a woman or a man can say no at any given time. And your purchase of a flight did not purchase their body.
Okay? Right.
I don't know why people think that. And guys are upset. Women can get upset about it too. I'm not trying to just, on men here.
Yeah, no,
people can say no at any time.
Demetria, is there anything else? On that note, right?
Well, I like that we had this. It's a great conversation, and I feel like people are always interested in talking about it because it affects us all as we're out here dating, living our lives, or whatever. I would just say make sure you tune into Black Girl Stuff Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can always download the Revolt app. It is totally free. And you can watch all of our past episodes on there as well. So, I feel like there's something for everybody on the show.
I think so.
Not just Black girls. My 88-year-old white Polish grandmother loves the show because people have tried to silence Black women for so long. And this is a unique demographic of Black women who we haven't really heard from in the TV space anyway. We're talking about millennials and Gen Zers. And we talk about voting. We talk about mental health. We talk about the pay equity. We talk about wage gaps. And we talk about common issues when it comes to relationships getting flued out, things like that. So I think there's something for everyone on the show. And I truly appreciate you taking the time.
No, I truly appreciate you too. And I think that what's really great about the show too is that everybody doesn't have the same opinion. So it's a really good conversation.
They disagreed with me. My co-host, I was like the only one on the island. I'm like, oh, wow. It was a body shaming conversation. And I stand pretty strong on that. I'm backing women all the way. And some of them have more conservative viewpoints. And so it was like, oh my God. Right. And so it is interesting. In this latest episode that people can see, it was our 10th episode. We interviewed August Alsina, Tamar Braxton, and it's a really, really great episode. And people get to see a side of August that they typically don't. He got really candid, really emotional on scene. So we talk, and we also let other people talk, and we bring in some amazing guests so they can check it out.
I'm truly looking forward to those episodes, and I just, again, it's been so great and such a pleasure to watch you grow and to see you pretty much check people on some hot topics, right? That have just been.
I love to do that. I love to do that. That's one of my favorite things. I think it's my core. I did debate in high school, and that was one of my favorite things ever. I love it, and so you just challenge people, and you just keep it pushing. I don't try to make anybody look silly, stupid. It's not coming from a place of vitriol or hate, but it's just like, all right, let's challenge people. And I've made social commentary videos on the subjects, challenging people who are running for office, challenging political candidates who held back vital information during COVID-19 pandemic. I'll touch on everything. I'm very passionate about the things that I'm saying, and I feel like a lot of people can see that digitally when I post my clips. And
for sure.
You're getting the real Demetria. It's not my representative.
I know. No, that's great. Like you said, I've noticed that you do. You have just a wide range of topics that you're able to speak on, very intelligently. So I do appreciate that.
We all have our opinions on things, and I like to talk about everything. We could talk about Skittles and M&Ms.
Well, I'm a Skittles girl. M&Ms, I'm not really into chocolate.
Skittles are wild there. Yeah. We can keep going. I love to talk. I'm a conversationalist at heart. And so people who've seen me on the street and they stop me, we'll be talking for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, damn.
And they'll probably be like, I didn't even know she would sit here and talk to me like this.
My first job, I was a cashier at Target. And that was one of my favorite jobs of all time because I just got to talk to people all day. And it was great.
I think retail is a very good training ground for broadcasting.
It is. I think it is. And I feel like you learn, also how to kind of diffuse situations.
Yeah.
People wanted to use $5 coupons for a $3 bag of bread, thinking they should get a refund. I get some money back. I'm like, come on. And that's a real scenario that really happened to me. I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
I've had people try to get $50 refunds with no receipt, and it's like, I can give you store credit.
And you have to watch your facial expressions. I'm a very expressive person. And you can see what people's trigger points are. But I don't know. It's just fun. You get to know people, and we're all different. And I feel like my audience and my forum that I've created on my social channels, it gives people an opportunity to express their viewpoints. And not everybody agrees with me. I don't want everybody to agree with me.
No.
Yeah, but I love that people can get on, and they might have totally different political viewpoints, but it creates a place where, hey, this is a real question. This is a valid point. Let's talk about this. Let's dissect it. And I love that.
I think it's great. And I think you're touching the people, and you're getting even younger people to be more informed and talk about politics or understand politics in a way that they probably, I mean, this is a very unique panel in that sense. Like you said, yeah. And I think that's really great. So I have enjoyed watching the show. I'm
supporting the show. I really appreciate that.
I've enjoyed it, and I've been a genuine fan of you since you burst onto the scene.
It's crazy, man. I'm like, man, I've been doing this for a bit.
Right. And you're like, and now somebody's talking about me, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It never stops. I think people will look at my page or something, and they see me having a great time at work, and they're like, oh my God, it's just so easy. It's easy. I'm like, no,
that's not easy.
Nothing is easy. Nothing's been handed to me. Everything that I got, I got in the mud, and I worked for it. I mean, my loans are in my name. I was like, come on, Biden, come on, let's get these. Now they halted it. I'm like,
that is keeping it all the way real. I'm glad you said that.
The truth. I mean, I bought my car. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And so my story, if anything, I hope it inspires people to keep working. I've heard I've gotten no responses to things. There are jobs that I'm like, oh, I'm a shoo-in. I'm like, you never hear back. And so you just keep going, and you never stop, because one day one of those little seeds that you planted will sprout up a nice little plant.
Or it even gets nice because it could be unbeknownst to you too. Sometimes it's a recommendation. Yeah. There's someone in the world right now doing a thing and saying Demetria is the perfect person for it, and you don't even realize.
No, you don't, and that's why you have to keep stepping and climbing and creating these relationships and just being yourself. You can't please everybody.
No,
not everybody loves Demetria, I'm sure, but people do know me.
Yeah,
don't take it personally if they just don't know you personally.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That is so true. No,
these are little seeds that I got along the way, and I'm like, nobody really does it by themselves.
Right.
Does it by themselves. You do need other people, and you keep working. But like I said, I ain't never had no lift up elevator to the top floor penthouse suite. That's not the way it is. We're working our way up.
I went to a friend's house, and they had that. It literally was like an elevator to their home.
Oh, facts. Oh, yeah, that's what the penthouse do. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is yours? Like, I ain't never, like, this is not. Y'all got Kool-Aid in here? I'm like, I don't.
Oh, no, we have a chef.
They're like, okay, you cooking? Do you live here?
It's amazing. And it's
one time I went to somebody's house like that.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen some beautiful homes. We're shooting out in Atlanta for Black girl stuff, and so I mean, you see beautiful homes. I mean,
Atlanta's huge. Even the townhouses are like super.
It's crazy. I mean, it's just you just keep going, man. You just keep going. It's your life, and you just keep rocking with it. So many people come to me and like, oh, somebody told me I got to the final audition place, and they didn't give me the job or something, and I'm like. There are times when I didn't get a job, but I wrote a thank you letter, and then it led to a different kind of job. And then from there, I was able to whittle my way through. And so you just keep going. I just keep going. It's tiresome. And sometimes you need that mental break and everything. But it'll happen. I believe it. You got to believe in yourself.
Don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the conversation, Demetria. I mean, I was obviously expecting something of depth. I know, just from what I think, you're representative yourself. what I think I know about you, I knew that the conversation would go in this direction. I just never would have expected it would be like on levels of like, I just got a sermon. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, there's just so much I've learned. It's like, how can you fit that into 15 minutes? I mean, and I'm still learning so much more. Like I said, I'm a forever student. I don't know everything. I'm finding the path out, and I'm learning things. Don't go here, do this. And so that's my only thing. I think so many people get discouraged and they're like, man, because people told them that it has to be this way or you're not good enough. And people told me things like, oh, the grass isn't always greener. Don't take this risk. I've taken huge risks.
Yeah.
I've also been privileged enough to know that, okay, I can go live with my grandma real quick or live with my mom and dad. Not everybody has that. And I don't have people who are counting on me. So I know it's not the same for everyone, but I would still encourage people to really believe in themselves and challenge themselves and be disciplined. I lack discipline sometimes within myself. I'm like, you could be doing more in the day, but I also need to go to Dave and Buster's and chill. So, you got to find that balance.
Yeah. No, you have to still have fun. Yeah. No, we're all a sum of many things. So
we are. That's so great. Much. It's I don't know. It's a beautiful life.
It is a beautiful life, isn't it? I can tell. I'm just as we watch you and we're just like, this person, she deserves everything that has come for her.
So do you. I love
Thank you.
Fast. I mean, I feel like sometimes people get into an interview and it's so cut and paste, but I'm getting a sense of who you are. And I love that. I love that. And I love how relaxed you've made the interview. I mean, I love talking, but this was just like talking with one of my closest friends. And
thank you. Well, it can be sometimes difficult interviewing an interviewer.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can kind of you'll know when I've derailed and said something crazy or something, and you can kind of like
I feel like I haven't done anything really crazy. I feel like you could try to dig dirt on me, but there's nothing really out there. I'm sure there's
no.
So it's pretty easy.
I'll say this too, like one of the things about me as well is that like I have always felt really bad for the kind of interviewer that gives their interviewee anxiety or makes them feel like they have to be defensive, like the minute that they walk on set. Like, why would you even ask that person that question? Like, don't you want them to walk away from this feeling great that they talked about their projects? Like, why are you
done that in up close when I was in journalism school?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know why you would do that. Bringing up somebody's dead relative. I mean,
and it's just to get that viral moment.
I'm like, that's mean. Sometimes you see that in a lot of sports journalism. Not everybody.
Oh, yes.
It's just like,
some of the questions they'll ask, and you're so totally right. Like I'll watch those press conferences, like, no, what do you want this person to say? What do you expect? Yeah, no, it's true. It gets, and maybe because it's again, guys, I'm not coming for you. Maybe because sports journalism is so male dominated, they're just a little bit more ruthless.
Well, yeah, what is it? 70% male, or is it? Yeah, I think it's about that. I mean, it's a majority of sports journalism is male, white males. And some do amazing work, but I just feel like there's a disconnect, especially coming from different minority groups as well, and how you approach things. And
absolutely.
I don't know, man. I just bring it up I've seen some crazy things.
I don't even want to name names or say things. But
no, it's just all across. Anybody can ask a bad question. And if you are that person who ends up going viral for the wrong reason, still have strength and just revisit things. And that's why it's important to have diverse newsrooms, people who challenge you to be a better reporter and a better journalist. Because if you're not used to being around a certain group of people, you might think something's perfectly fine to ask or a word's perfectly fine to say, but you may not know.
That's a good point too, because I was more so coming from the perspective of the person like deliberately being.
Some people don't always. It's not malicious in intent. It's
right.
Lack of knowledge. I've heard some things that are just like, oh, you don't want to say that. That's a racially insensitive term, and I know because my family's Polish on my mother's side, and somebody's gonna use a word. I'm like, don't do that. And thankfully, you hired me, a diverse person, to be able to come in and say, hey. Don't say that, right? But not everybody knows that. But it has been a pleasure talking to you, Coco. I actually have to hit the road. Atlanta traffic is insane.
Oh, I know it is. But from 9 to 9, it's insane in Atlanta.
I am on my way. I got to go track a package over at Revolt Studios.
Oh, okay. Over her job. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Koku at blackfilm.com. I'm here with Demetria Obilor, TV personality on Revolt. Make sure that you watch Black Girl Stuff. It is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Revolt TV. I think we got that all in, right?
Yes, we did.
See you later, girl. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. Bye. If you want to see more content like this on blackfilm.com, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.